Hello everyone, today we are checking out REN ZOTTO from NIJISANJI English in his original song, Amplify. Now, we've heard Ren a couple times now. We've heard him in his group song for Iluna, and we've also heard him in Wanderer. So he's got that like 2010s pop star boy band voice, and he knows how to make it work. He knows how to play to his strengths. So we're just going to jump right on into things, see how this sounds in 3, 2, 1, play. Ooh. Nice. Very nice. Already we're getting that sort of 2010s aesthetic with the very jumpy pop keys, and then directly comparing that to a synth introduction through the keys. It's again mixing up that acoustic sound of the keys that are still digital with the very digitized synth tones. And now we're getting that. Ooh, that's a very nice tone they have on that synth. Okay. Ooh, nice. Listen to that. We get a bit of an arpeggio with a backing synth over his vocals. Well, more like under his vocals. And we also have a digital effect on the vocals itself. It's a very like a DJ aesthetic. Sorry, I hesitate to say DJ, but it's got that techno aesthetic. It's very almost like video game like, but not quite. You can hear this a bit of a chime in the back. It's like there's this chime descending for the transition, and then we also get the introduction of a synth arpeggio in this vocal segment here. Right here. Right there, we get a reference in another synth track to the previous synth line we were getting isolated. Well, I say isolated, but fairly isolated. Nice. We're using more of an acoustic tone. It's still digital keys, but it's more of a natural, traditional acoustic tone to transition to add to the mix. We're still sustaining the previous segment, the previous repetition of this vocal segment, but we're adding on more acoustic tones to make the mix more full, more supported, and that's adding to the progression of the song, even though we're just repeating the same lines. Nice. That was an interesting transition there. We have also got these backing vocals even now, with the choral backing vocals that he's doing himself, it sounds like. And we're also getting a very, very clear tone for a vocal that has this digital suppression on it, because obviously the digital effect on his vocals, it's suppressing the clarity of his voice, is the best way I can say it. It's not as clear, and that's obviously intentional for the aesthetic of the song. But even so, we're still getting that projection from his voice. You can still tell that he's singing out in this line. You can still hear that. Interesting. For this sounds like the chorus here, and for the chorus, instead of relying on the synth tones we've been using to build ourselves up to this point, instead of relying so much on the synth tones, we're relying more on the acoustic, just the keys, the more acoustic sounding piano-esque keys supported by the drum track, which it's obviously a digital drum, but it's not like overly digitized. It's not overly electronic in any way. It's just a pretty standard digital drum track we're getting, but we're using that for the chorus as opposed to the synth that we've been referencing a lot throughout this build-up here.
You're above the clouds. If you've been wondering how, realize that to lose it now, you've got to amplify.
Nice.
It's the spark from you and I that keeps this world alive. Amplify.
Nice. Interesting. That's nice. So we're using those acoustic tones for the chorus, and then we're interjecting with more of that digitization. We're playing around with our mix here. We're playing quite around quite a bit with how we're manipulating the EQ of these tones, because and not just the EQ, but also, you know, we're getting these stutter effects. We're getting this digital suppression. We're getting some digital, I hesitate to say distortion. It's almost more like a megaphone effect or like an overdrive. Just like throughout different tracks, and it's playing around with the aesthetic of the song, and I really like how stable it is despite doing that, because a lot of times you'll have people play around with their song, play around with their mix, and you'll get people who just go full on into like dubstep and stuff, and it can be a little overwhelming. But this is a very consistent, very stable, and it's very pleasant to the ear. It's easy to catch on to things. It's a catchy song that's just pleasant to the ear. All right. A very nice transition there too. I really like this part, this instrumental breakdown here. I really, really like this part. It sounds very well mixed. Again, we're playing around with just like instrumental cutouts, we're playing around with vocal cutouts, we're playing around with the effect on the vocals, you know, suppressing certain words and then bringing it back up in the mix. And then also, we were getting some interesting support on a backing vocal. And oh, I didn't notice this, interestingly enough. It sounds like we're getting a bass string on a keyboard. Well, we're getting a keyboard playing on a bass string effect. And I'm not sure if that was present before, but it's definitely present now for this segment. Nice, introducing that clap digital drum. Nice, going back to that. Nice, a very good build up there. Nice, a nice little interjection with the piano. And then, right, getting the digital effects. Nice. And then again. Yep. Now we're getting a switch up. Nice. Nice. We've pretty much hit every part like 2 times now, and now we're getting a switch up before we finish things out to add that variation, add that spice to the song. Very nice. I like the rhythm switch up, but I do not like that digital effect there. That digital effect, I get what they're going for, but there was, not only do I feel like it's a little overbearing, but that reverb is not playing to the benefit of the song, because with that reverb and echo on that digital effect there, it makes it sound more empty in the mix, which with how supported the mix was before, going into that, it just sounds hollow. Sounds very surface level when he's just doing this sort of rap-esque breakdown. And you can hear we've got this bassy instrumental backing that is supposed to sort of make up for those shortcomings in a vocal track, but with the contrast from how supported the vocals were before, it doesn't sound pleasant. That's all I can really say. It sounds like if you turned up drive too high on a distortion guitar, or if you just jack the gain way too high. You know, it's too overbearing. It needs to come down. I get that we're trying to do an interjection and we're trying to do a switch up, but instead of going so much on the digital effect, your rhythm switch up and your demeanor of your voice, that switch up is enough. You don't need to go all the way into these digital effects and just crank things to the max. You can keep them at just a subtle change in the mix and then use your vocal demeanor to switch things up. Obviously, that's just preference. You know, that's my preference. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people who listen to the song like the way he did it and would not like the way I would like it as much. But that's just my personal preference and just what I would change if I had any part in the music production. But yeah, this megaphone effect is not really doing it for me. See, his clean vocal is just so much more pleasant to the ear that it almost feels like when this part comes back, it feels like you've escaped. But that switch up should be pleasant. It should be something new and varied. And I don't want to feel like I've escaped a part of the song that I don't like. I just want to appreciate the change in the song. Interesting. That was a very interesting percussive switch up there. And then go nice, and then bringing back the old percussion. Ooh, okay. We didn't get the digital effect on that one. We just got his voice. And then we're getting digital effect now. All right. That was Amplify by REN ZOTTO. All right, I enjoyed that. I really liked that, but there were a couple like things that I would personally would change if I had any role in the music production. But I still really like the song. I really like Ren's voice, but my only complaint is I feel like his music isn't showcasing what his voice can do as much as it could be. I feel like his music is covering up his voice a little bit, where it doesn't need to. And obviously, you know, there's preference. Some people like more digital effects, some people don't. Some people like certain things in their instrumental switch ups, some people don't. Some people like to do different things in their mix, some people don't. But for me, I personally think he should lean more towards his clean vocals. He's got a very, very incredible vocal tone. It's a very catchy. It just the moment he sings in his clean vocal, it feels like you're hearing a star. You feel like you're hearing someone who was meant to sing. But when he adds so much digital effect, his voice feels too muddy to really appreciate that as much as if he just went with his clean vocal. And obviously, you know, you can add effects to a clean vocal. You can make it fit the aesthetic of your song, but you don't need to cover up the demeanor of your voice, the inflections you can pull off, the runs you can do. Those are all things that let you show off what your style is. And I feel like focusing too much on the mix can detract from the vocals. And obviously you want to focus on the mix. I'm not saying don't focus on the mix. That's very important. but don't prioritize what you're doing to the vocal track over your vocals. Your vocal track is just the recording of your vocals, but pay attention to your vocals. Don't just think, oh, I can edit my vocal track later. And obviously, I'm not saying this is what anyone in working on this song did. I'm just saying I feel like the vocals itself should be more appreciated, because he obviously has incredible vocals. I really, really like Ren's voice, but I want more of it in his songs. And obviously, this song had a very clear digital aesthetic, and I appreciate that. But maybe it's just personal preference. I think he could have gone for more cleaner vocals. Oh, and obviously, if I didn't hear that vocal switch up where we just had that massive overdrive effect when we had the big switch up here around this part, like this part, I think if this part wasn't there, then I think I probably wouldn't have even mentioned anything. But because this part was here, I just felt inclined to say, like, it sounded great. It's just his voice here, it just like, that's perfect for the song. That's the perfect amount of digital effect and the perfect amount of correction, pitch correction. He doesn't need much more than that much effect on his voice. So when you add more and more to create the contrast, it would be more pleasant to the ear to simply make that vocal contrast through the actual vocals rather than digital effect. Obviously, digital effect is there to add to the song and to experiment, but it can be overbearing. That's all I'm saying. I know I'm kind of rambling on about this. I really do like this song. I really like his voice. I just think in terms of the mix and just the effects on his voice, I think they could still be perfected a bit. But aside from that, I really did enjoy this. Thank you very much for recommending this to me. Aside from that, feel free to recommend more in the comments below. I will see you guys next time. Thank you very much.